and pick up a mana potion there as well before he walks in the lane.
Yeah, so going for 3 health potions. Interesting, because he'll need as much sustain as possible. You won't miss anything as well waiting for that last potion. A lot of the 1v1 tournaments in North America did end up having a lot of players waiting for that 4th pot, and it helped them out in the long run. So we'll see if that comes into effect this time around. We do have the file bar start for Lilac. As you know, you're able to get the mana back. Just keep spamming it out and push out waves and just guarantee yourself a lot of good creeps. So we'll keep track of that. I don't think Lilac's going to do too much pressuring outside of the few auto attacks he can land, because he's going to get so many creeps with the fireball. And you can see he also has 22 AP on the Nunu too. Just a lot of raw damage going to come out.
Yeah, and actually a very similar rune setup for both players. No attack damage, just going to go 22 AP. I think it is actually, yeah, identical for both laners here, so it'll be exciting to watch. And of course they both brought a lot of magic resistance in their runes, but you can see going aggressive here. Lilac has zoned Ssumday off from the creep wave already. That early level 2, because he's so essential at winning this 1v1. Now Ssumday is forced to just wait back towards his turret for this wave to push up.
Yeah, there's nothing he can do in this situation, honestly. Like, Lilac can just keep charging up his stuns, throwing a fireball here or there to just keep on the harass and keep building up his stun and keep that pressure out there. As long as he's forcing him to use those flasks as well as the potions, the health potions, excuse me, it's going to be so tough for the unit to deal. And Lilac, all he needs to do is just use the biscuits at a good time. Mana management is very, very key here. Keeping the fireballs, getting the last hits there is probably the most important thing you could ever look for on an Annie in the mid lane, especially. Even as a support Annie, you know, you can look at those last hits every now and then just to keep the mana pool up.
But as we're getting up in levels, you got to keep an eye on the mana bars, because that's what's really going to work out well for Ssumday. The more he auto-attacks these creeps, even if he's not getting the actual CS for them, his Clairvoyance passive is just going to give him free mana cast. So whenever he clear casts this, it's mana he doesn't have to spend. And Lilac, you can really see starting to dip down in the lower part of the mana pool. And even though he'll get mana back when he kills creeps with it, it might be the deciding factor if Ssumday can even get the out sustain in the mana department, even if it's not necessarily true in HP.
Yeah, just wait till he gets the Doran's Ring. Shouldn't be that bad once he has that. Like, he'll give him the extra damage, he'll be able to get a little bit more mana back, and like it's not even hurting him that much that he's going for these fireballs non-stop. Like, he just recovers his mana, no problem there.
Now look at all that CS that he's been able to get almost for free. You just fireball it, and now Ssumday is walking off to the side of the lane.
Is he gonna use his TP? I don't think that'd be a good decision if he uses that to go back to lane, but he's gonna miss out on a bit, especially with how Lilac's gonna control the wave.
He is going to immediately teleport back into lane. He'll pick up a ton of potions. He's going to have more sustain than he knows what to do with. There's no hope for Lilac to beat through the sustain that Ssumday has in his inventory coming back in here to lane. And with the Doran's Ring, that means that he's going to be able to get a ton of mana back just from the regen as well as from killing creeps. And so Lilac is in a little bit of trouble here. Lilac, when he goes back to base, is going to have to walk all the way back to lane, and that's where Ssumday is going to pick up a really big advantage.
Yeah, that's where it's going to get a little hairy for Lilac. So we'll see, because, I mean, he can just keep on the pressure right now. The Doran's Ring is nice for Nunu, especially to have early on. You get that little bit of an advantage. We see a lot of the AD-centric champs, when they're in the 1 versus 1, they kind of just prioritize Doran's Blaze. And if they can TP to lane early on without any ramifications, they're good to go.
And look at Ssumday. He's just sitting there, and Lilac is non-stop auto-attacking him, using his fireballs to CS for the cooldown resets. But I think you got to turn those back around and try to do it the other way. I think Lilac really is just waiting in lane for this level 6 so he can get Tibbers and try to put down an all-in. But Ssumday, there's no possible way he's going to die to that. He'll have Consume up here in just a second. There you go, just getting way too much HP back for the sustain.
So good. So dang good. I mean, there's nothing you can do to keep the Nunu off of the last hits of the creeps. He's got to be very careful.
Oh my god, look at those snowballs starting to hit, quite literally snowballing the lane. And while Ssumday's ultimate may be absolute zero, he is doing anything but that, putting in a lot of work mid lane. And finally that sustained advantage really starting to kick in, and you can see start to spam the Nunu bot laps. He knows that he's starting to win this. Lilac can take like 2 more snowballs maximum before he gets taken out here, so he's got to play this lane.
Honestly, like, if he just hits the snowball and then just pops the absolute zero, he's dead.
I think what he's waiting for is maybe to take damage under turret and then turn it around with a stun
No
on
way.
Ssumday, but even still, that's not going to kill him. He's got that Doran's Ring and so much HP. Just the health scaling on Nunu is ridiculous, and he's already up there at level 6.
Lilac's struggling, man.
Yes.
He's missed so many of these creeps right now.
Look at that Ice Blast. He's just going to walk underneath the turret and Ice Blast him and win the 1v1. He's going to push away.
Yeah, he's Tove. What are you doing, Lilac?
Ssumday's just going to walk up, and there's the Tibbers stun. Put out a little bit of extra damage. I think he expected to take damage and then turn it around with a stun, but if he had taken any damage, he would have died.
How could you hit such a cute little girl? She's a pyromaniac. Man.
And then you see, and then suddenly Tibbers, and you start to understand a little bit more. But now, going back to base, we'll be able to pick up most likely a bunch of ability power, but at the same time, Ssumday is going to not only take down a lot of damage on this turret, but
you might get it.
Oh my god. Yeah, if there was another wave coming in at the right time, Ssumday could have taken that turret, but Lilac will be coming out of base with a catalyst?
Yeah, just go for the straight stats. You level up, you get some extra health and mana regen. It's not the best option like the triple Doran's ring that some Ssumday is going for, but I guess he needs the stats. Honestly, it doesn't seem like the best choice here. Any with Doran's ring early on is just so strong that you could just abuse the fireballs nonstop. But all right, I mean, he's the one playing this right now. I'm not, so we'll see if it bites him in the butt in the end.
Now, the reason I'm skeptical about the catalyst is that even though that'll even up the sustain just a little bit, Annie just won't have any damage. You can see Ssumday with all the tank stats that those triple Doran's rings give him, he's just not going to take any damage here. He's got a lot of points. In fact, let me check the skill build here for Ssumday. If we can click on him here in just a second, we'll be able to tell what he's gone ahead and skilled. For Annie, it's 4-2 and then 0 points in that Molten Shield. Notice she's not really going to get auto-attacked, so just putting the points and Incinerate and trying to keep that harass up. You can see it's actually pretty darn effective here. Someday need to get a little bit of that sustain back. Tibbers up in 10 seconds, so
that Tibbers timing is key. He still has Ignite. He can stop the health potions. He can stop the consume heal too, or reduce it significantly. So he's doing a lot.
1, and Tibbers is back online. There is that Incinerate stun.
He has enough for a full combo, but it's not enough. There's no way it's enough to kill right now.
And if he does his full combo and it doesn't kill Ssumday, he's just going to sustain it all back.
Yeah, there's still a barrier too to keep an eye out for. Like that's the key thing. If he doesn't do enough damage to start it off, then Ssumday is just gonna be like barrier, turn around with absolute 0 and you're dead, or just force a flash out of him. And okay,
I think Ssumday wins this. He's gonna get another Ice Blast. There's the absolute 0. He's turning it back around. There's the barrier. A flash out defensively. The snowball is gonna hit, and it's Ssumday to win the 1v1 in game number 1 over Lilac.
All right, that's what we were talking about, man. The Doran's ring verse, just way too strong. We even get a nice little replay here, too, where Lilac just got way too overconfident. He might have not factored in the barrier because Ssumday even messed up the barrier timing. He didn't even mitigate, like, Tibbers damage or anything like that. So, starts about right here. So, Lilac, he gets the stun off there. He throws out the fireball, then Tibbers afterwards. Barrier comes out late, but it just doesn't matter. And Ssumday's like, all right, I'm just going to charge you down. And Ice Blast. Boom, you're dead.
Yeah, just even underneath this turret. And really, that 1v1 came down to lane management at the end. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But Ssumday, you can see on your screen,